The tree is a kame renako? I asked. No, said Brunswick, the vine is. He said, and he patted it affectionately. Ah, so I was to drink the vine. Lighting a mapacho, Brunswick carefully blew smoke on the plant. Then we followed its tentacles to the base of the hill and dug out an area where it entered a little stream. Brunswick blew more smoke on it and cut out a section. White sap began to pour from its severed ends. Immediately dropping down on my hands and knees, dropping down on his hands and knees, Brunswick began to drink it, looking for all the world like a child catching milk squirting from a cow's udder. I cupped some in the palm of my hand and lapped it up. It had the consistency of rubber and a neutral taste. Clambering back up the hill, we sat and smoked mapachos. Then, leaving the butt ends burning upright at the base of the plant as an offering, we returned home to our respective tasks. Brunswick to prepare the medicine, and I to find out if I could love the spirit of a strangler jungle vine. Susanna, meanwhile, had begun, at the recommendation of the maestro, dieting Shakruna, queen of the forest, who paints the visions in Ayahuasca. I often found her sitting on the steps of our cabin, smoking her pipe, absorbed in knitting tobacco bags and necklaces. She reported her senses were becoming more delicate, colors were brighter, and the world subtler, as if the feminine receptivity of the plant was working in her. During our sessions, she found herself traveling more through the jungle in her visions, following the waterways of the plant. I soon found myself descending to the shores of the river and stroking the muscular limbs of the kame renako vine. Wholly absorbed in its tenacious strength, feeling its power running through my body, I began crooning to it like a lover. Yeah. So, you may have picked up on some themes here of Vegetalismo. One of them is the communion with the spirits of plants. And the way you do it is by actually drinking the plant itself. And as we saw with Juan Flores, doing a diet where you enter into communion with these spirits. And also that the cosmology of the Amazonian people is based in their ecology. And so the plant is the spirit, it is the medicine, it is the molecules, it's all these things at once. And so in going, the privilege of being able to go to the jungle is to commune with the whole range of sentience of the natural world. And the wonders just continue unfolding the more you enter into it. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll put on my moderator's hat now and invite in some voices of the other authors that have come to join us this evening. So to set the stage of our conversation, I think that we can all get on board here with the premise that human culture is inseparable from and arises from ecological culture. And while there is now general awareness of the Amazon's role as the storehouse of genetic diversity on the planet, as well as it's the guardian of future evolution on our planet, there is perhaps less awareness of the even more precarious condition of the human cultures that live in communion with the rainforest there and have been there for millennia. And so we want to address a very wide spectrum tonight of both looking at the circumstances of people now living in the Amazon, as well as how the knowledge that we are inheriting from them of how to work with the sentience of plants and their healing powers can be realized in our culture at this time. So we're going to cross a wide terrain tonight. And I want to open up by addressing Lou, who has done extensive work in Ecuador documenting the environmental catastrophe left behind by Texaco Chevron and ask him to give us a sketch of the history of Chevron Texaco's oil extraction practices in South America and its impact upon the native communities. Would you like to come up
Sure.
here?
Thanks, Robert. It's great to be here. Well, the result of our work is in the book, Crude Reflections, Oil Ruin and Resistance in the Amazon Rainforest. And I first went down to Ecuador in 1993. I had been working for many years as a photojournalist in Latin America, and a friend of mine, a writer that I used to work with who had then become an attorney, told me about this tremendous problem of contamination from oil drilling by Texaco in the Ecuadorian Amazon. So I went out in 1993 and saw this incredibly, what once was an incredibly beautiful area that was totally contaminated by the results of the oil exploration and exploitation. And what Texaco did, if you drill for oil in the United States, anything that comes up that's toxic with that has to be re-injected back into the ground by law. And this has been this way for, I think the last state that allowed you not to do that was in the 1930s, and it was in Texas. What Texaco decided to do to make more money was to not re-inject. So they basically took all the pollutants and they dumped them into the environment, either directly into the streams and rivers, or they dug a total of about 1,000 unlined pits that they dumped them into, and then the toxins seeped into the water table, the water table. So even if you dug a well, the water was still polluted. Subsequent to that visit, a lawsuit was filed against Texaco, which is now Chevron. Chevron bought Texaco in 2001. So I've been documenting since the trial opened in the Amazon in 2003. It had been filed first in the United States, was 10 years in federal court in New York, and then the venue was moved to Ecuador. So I went back in 2003 for the opening of the trial, and I've been documenting it since then. The plaintiffs are suing Chevron to clean up the environment, basically. It's that simple. Chevron is claiming either that it's not contaminated or they don't have any responsibility for it. They're using anything that they can say to try to get out of this being found guilty in this suit. So I had the real privilege to meet, there's 5 indigenous groups in this area of the oil development that have been severely impacted. And I've been able to meet and photograph all of the groups. It's incredible to be in an environment where the people, they lived off of the environment in all the different ways in terms of where they got their food, where they got their medicine. The first time I went in 1993, I remember we went to the village of San Pablo. The water is so polluted that the indigenous there can no longer fish. And so we actually, well not me, but the guides that took us there actually brought canned tuna to the village so they could eat fish, because eating the fish was causing serious health problems. I was telling Robert, when we're talking about the medicinal plants, I had a talk with the shaman of a village called Doreno, and he told me they started getting cancer, which they had never had before. And you know, one of the things he said to me was, yes, we started getting these health problems that we couldn't figure it out. Our traditional medicines couldn't help. And so